Good afternoon, good evening. Happy Valentine's Day to all of the men and women. This is a beautiful day. A lot of people call it a pagan holiday, but me personally, I'm not with all that. I'm just going to keep it real with you guys. First, welcome to the Dr. Nabs Show. I am your host, Dr. Nabs. I am so glad to be back. You all have no idea the fights that I go through with this show. I'm just being honest with you. They're trying to get me on iHeart, and it's like, oh my God, I got a letter from them, and they say everything was good, just the description is too short, and it's like, what are you talking about? So it's like, okay, I got to try again and everything. But other than that, everything else is doing good. I just give God the glory and the honor for what he is doing today. I am so excited. I'm sure if you've been on Facebook, you have seen what is going on with me. I have just launched my new seminar series. And the first series that I did was about knowing the will of God and not running off of your emotions. And there is a price. It's so funny, and I'm gonna tap on this. I'm gonna say this because this needs to be out. People feel that, how can I use the word? It's like I've seen something on YouTube. Well, matter of fact, it was last night from one of the movie companies, and this lady talking about, you mean to tell me I gotta pay? Well, you know what thing? People don't understand. That's how people make a living. I mean, truthfully, that's how people make a living. And you would never know if the quality is good until you watch it. And for some apparent reason, when I did the first seminar, and I thought I had locked it in, but for some reason I didn't lock it in to be pay-per-view. And I kid you not, I seen that thing jump, the Richter scale jumped up so high, and it was like, wow. But when I went back in and to put the pay on it, nothing came through. That's wrong. And then I'm gonna tell you something. You might say, well, why are you getting mad at us? I'm gonna tell you why. I'm not really mad at nobody, and I'm not mad at nobody. But let me share something with you. Everything in life is not free. There is a price to pay in everything. You might not fork out no money, but you're going to pay a price. You might not do different things, but you are going to pay a price. And when I seen this, it's like, are you serious? But I'm reminded of something I was looking at the other night. And they did a preview of the movie for free. And at the end, they was speaking about Colonel Sanders in Kentucky Fried Chicken, and how Colonel Sanders got turned down 1,009 times, but he kept on being, he just kept being persistent. And I'm here to let all of you all know, I'm going to stick with this, because this is nothing but the devil's workshop. You don't want to pay, and I'm going to say this. You don't want to pay $4.95 to listen at a seminar, but you quick to go watch a movie because it's got a few stars on it, and pay to watch that stuff. You quick to go out here and buy a Gucci bag or a Louis Vuitton bag and pay a bunch of money for it, but those guys, half of them are homosexuals. They're not doing anything. You quick to go do that, and that's the mindset of people. Now, if I was I could jack that thing up to $20 because I know this for a fact. I want to go to this seminar. and I got all the information for it. Let me tell you something. To go and listen to the seminar, that thing costs $10,000. I remember when one of my goddaughters was living, and I never forget the words that she told me. She said, "Don't don't give up on small beginnings." And I remember she told me this. She said, "I will pay a lot of money just to go to a seminar and to hear somebody." And I'm like, okay, you will pay. But then when something comes through, I mean, even with the webinars, I've seen webinars going on, and they do the free stuff, and at the end, they're changed. Like I was on a LinkedIn webinar, and it's the same thing I had heard. Only thing is just in different words. And I kid you not, at the end of the webinar, the guy said, if you want to be a part of this, it's $100 and some a month. I'm like, get out of here. I did. I just said, get out of here. You know, and I'm just keeping it real. But, you know, some might say, well, you're not famous and people don't know you. It doesn't matter. We are helpers of one to another. If some of you all would inbox me and say, Apostle or Dr. Nabs, whatever you guys call me, I'm working on a project. Could you kind of bless me? I might not can't bless you a whole lot, but if I got it, I'll bless you. And that's the way it should be. It's the way it should be. But you got people that, you know, so I'm just letting you all I'm just letting everybody know. I'm going to do the Empowerment Network. I'm going to do what God says to do. I'm not going to turn my back. I'm going to do it because, and I'm only going to give a little brief synopsis of what the lecture was about. Knowing the will of God, not running with your emotions. A lot of times people run away with their emotions. Instead of them doing what God has called them to do, they want to run with their emotions. That's all I'm saying. Catch the link, go into the website and catch the link, and you'll see the rest of where God gave me the revelation about this. That's all I'm saying. Now, back to the day. I have said what I had to say. I'm not fussing at nobody. I'm not fussing at nobody. I love you guys very much. But I'm just excited. Like I said, I'm so excited. Valentine's Day. Strange love. Last night I had an opportunity to go on YouTube and Google up Value of a Husband part 1 and part 2. Last night I had the opportunity to stay up to 3 a.m. in the morning to watch this movie. This movie is done in Africa. It's a Nigerian movie. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I had me a cup of chai tea. I was getting mad. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I was getting mad. I was getting mad at the movie because of the stuff that it was doing. I mean, when I tell you it was a hot mess, it was a hot mess. But I'm not gonna give you the spoiler, but I'm gonna give you kind of a little thing of it. And I highly recommend this movie. I highly recommend the movie because this is something that needs to be done and it needs to be taught. Now, all right, brace yourself, women and men. There was a young lady. She was married, and this young lady, oh my Jesus, when I tell you she was dogmatic to her husband, she was so dogmatic. Oh my God, oh my Jesus. Even I had to look at it and say, child, what is wrong with you? I mean, when I tell you nasty, I mean nasty. Well, wow, it was a trip. Well, She got a friend of hers. She said, I am sick of this food in my life. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And so, she was on a little crack. She was on a little crack. And it just kept on, kept on. Well, her friend told her, she said, oh, okay, I'm gonna get you, we gonna, since you want to be out of your marriage, we're gonna work together as a team. Now, you might say, ask, we're about the strange love. Well, in the midst of it, the guy and the girl, her friend, end up falling in love with each other. And I want y'all to check this out. The girl was kissing the girl's husband all up in her face. Oh my Jesus, God, oh Lord have mercy. Having sex in their home, the whole 9 yards. And the girl kept going back to the girl and telling her, look, what is wrong with you? You in my house. This is not the way this is supposed to go down. And the girl said, look, you didn't want him. I love my husband. That's all she kept saying. She said, no, you don't, because if you love your husband, you would not be talking to him like he was a dog. Well, this whole mess kept going on for at least about a good hour to 2 hours. And even had the little girl, her daughter, in on the whole thing. I'm like, you couldn't be over here in America with that foolishness. Wow, you couldn't be over here in America with that craziness, because y'all, oh my God. So, let me tell y'all something. That movie will make Diary of a Mad Black Woman look like nothing. I'm being honest with y'all. That thing will make Diary of a Mad Black Woman look like nothing. Um, I love Tyler Perry. But some of his stuff that he's doing now is that it doesn't support positive. It does not support positiveness. I bless him and I wish him nothing but the best, but I'm just not with him like I used to be. I'm just keeping it real with you. Sometimes people need to let well enough alone. You understand what I'm saying? If God give you a thing to do for a season, you need to get it done. And then once that season is up, you need to go and do something else. The haves and the have-nots, that thing on the old network, I don't like it. There's another one he's got going on. I don't like it because it does not produce nothing positive. But that's him. Who am I to say what God did not tell him to do? I'm just keeping it real with you. But anyway, so getting back to this. So, wow. The girl kept on. The husband was falling all in love with the girl. And when I tell you, them African people are a mess, they are a mess. Sister girl was bold. She flopping her hair all up in the face. And honey, when I talk about getting down, getting down all the way down. And the husband jumping up at the wife's face and telling her, look, you didn't want me. I'm going to give you what you want. You want a divorce, I'm going to give you what you want. And this mess, I'm going to be honest with y'all, this thing kept, this mess kept up for at least about a good hour. Now, you might say, well, what are you talking about? I'm going to tell you about this strange love. At the end of the whole thing, even people was writing the producer and saying, how did you come up with this? At the end, about a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes, the girl had called her mother and she said, Mama, please, please, I want my husband back. And the guy looked at her and he said, you called Mom when not long ago you just told me when I bought you something that you did not love me and that you wanted me out of your life. And then here this other lady comes in my life that shows me love. But he said foolishness. So the girl told her, she said, look, Her and I planned this. He called the girl into the room. He said, "What is this she tells me?" The girl flats out telling her, "I don't know what you're talking about." I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm gonna say the spoiler because let me tell you something. I know half of you folks are not gonna watch it anyway, but anyway, if you do get a chance, Google, go to YouTube, and this Nigerian movie is called The Value of Love. And so, look, guys, I'm telling you, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, I almost fell out the exit. So it kept on. It kept on. So the guy looked at it, he said, "What is this? What is this? What is this?" So the mother looked at her, she said, "I cannot do nothing." Well, the mother goes upstairs in the home, and has this massive heart attack. And the wife screaming, "Fred, Fred, Fred!" So he runs, and somewhere, somehow, he slipped and cracked his head on the steps. Now, y'all, you all see the poor side of Africa, but they have some homes over there that are very luxurious homes. When I tell you, my husband and I, we was planning on getting one before I left, but some things came up. When I walked into that home, if you look at down in Miami, how beautiful those homes are. Those homes remind me of Florida homes. And if you look at them, it's like, oh my God. And so the home that we were planning on getting, it was, oh Jesus, it was so breathtaking. But because at the time the things did not run the way that we wanted to do, we had to let it go. So it really hurt me bad. But anyway, getting back to this. So when he fell, they looked up on his head, and it was blood. But now I want y'all to catch this. So they rushed him to the hospital. And when they rushed him to the hospital, the doctor looks at the daughter and says, he says, "Your mother is going to live." And, she's like saying, "Oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God." He said, "But your husband, when somebody falls like this, is not guaranteed that they're going to live." Now, I want y'all to listen to this. Well, her best friend was in the room with her husband. And so the mother and the wife goes in. And so, she tries to talk to her daughter, and her daughter just pulled back from her because, her daughter didn't want nothing to do with her because of what had went down. And so she looked at her friend, the one, Alden Smith, and she told her, she said, "Let me share something with you." She said, "He might love you." She said, "But the love that he has for me is deep." She says, "I don't know what you got going on." She said, "But I would tell you this much. You could never be me." And the girl looked at her. She said, "I love my husband." Well, now here's the switch part. The girlfriend, the wife's best friend looked at him. She said, "Fred, wake up." And he woke up. She looked around, and the daughter grabbed him and he hugged him. He said, "I'm okay." And the wife, like, look, just say, "What the heck is going on up in here?" Come to find out, they had staged this whole thing. If you know about movies, my daughter, she's a film director. She's an independent film director. And her husband, he's a makeup artist. They can take little pouches and fill it up with dye, red dye. And the way they did it, they put it on the back of his neck to where that when he fell, the patch burst and the blood just came out. The mother faked the heart attack. And the wife was like looking, and she said, wait a minute. And she said, wait a minute. And the girl looked at her and told her, she said, for one, I could never go with my best friend's husband. She said, but we had to teach you. You went around here hollering about you don't love him, you don't do this, you don't do that. He's not this and he's not that. She said, you got a good man. But you choose to run your mouth. I mean, I want y'all to listen to this. I'm talking about this strange love. They faked everything. They faked about having sex. They faked about being in love. They faked even they went as far as to faked about kissing. And then the wife looked at the mother. She said, you was in on this? She said, yes. She said, he loves you. And she just looked at her husband and she said, but what about the divorce? He said, I could never divorce you. I could never turn my back on you. He said, but I couldn't keep dealing with this. Every time something came up, you constantly kept fussing about a divorce, a divorce, a divorce, a divorce. The little girl looked at her mother. And it was like, oh my goodness, are you serious? So the whole motto of the whole story is this. Women, don't cause your husbands or your fiance to fall into strange love. Men, don't play with your women's emotion and have them to fall into strange love. That fabricated love. That fake love. Don't do it. Because it's not right. When I seen this, I kid you not, it literally blew my mind. I could not believe it. I'm like, oh my Jesus, are you serious? She got blown. The whole thing got blown. And I mean, they played that thing all the way to a T. They played it all the way to a T. When I tell you rich, and this is what I try to tell people about Africa. You have some poor people, but you also have some rich people. Those men love their wives. Those men, now, I'm going to be honest with you. They are not as affectionate as, the culture is very different. I'm going to keep it real with you. The culture is very different. If they have their mindset on building a home and a family, you lucky if you get a Valentine's Day card, or you lucky if you get flowers, you lucky if you get anything. They have their mind set for one thing and one thing only. Don't never underestimate that Africa is all poor, because they're not. They're not. Not all of them are not. And when I seen this movie, I said, I got to do a show on it. I've got to do a show on it. Because it was so touching. After being on the edge of my seat, almost on the edge of the bed, almost rolling out of the bed, because I was getting mad. I'm going to keep it real with you. Because over here in America, we don't do that stuff. If that woman tell that man he want a divorce, trust me, her butt gonna be out the house and he get a divorce. If that man tell that woman that he don't want to be about, trust me, they gonna do that. But over there, they will push it to the limit, and they would test you. I know, and I'm not ashamed to admit, my husband tested me. I almost lost my mind fooling around that Ugandan guy. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I remember maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, he had wrote me, and he had told me, he said, I noticed that he wouldn't answer my phone calls. I'm like, what in the world is going on over there? And I would call him, he would click the line. I'm like, what is this? And he wrote me, he said, look, he said, this is not going to work. He said, I'm in love with somebody, and it's not going to work. I called my brother. My brother got a hold to him, and he said, what is going on? And he said, she's a good woman, but a lot of things she doesn't quite understand. And then it was like, oh my Jesus. Well, later on, he wrote me. He said, I do not have nobody. He said, I had to put you through this test to see. He said, I'm all the way in Africa and you all the way in America. He said, I had to see, was the love that you have for me was sincere. And people, let me tell y'all something. I almost lost my mind. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I almost lost my mind. I'm like, what in the world? And then later on, I found out that African men will test American women. And it's like, okay, all right. When I went home, time I got off the airplane, and he picked me up at the airport, and he looked at me, and he told me, he said, welcome home. This is your home. And I'm like, are you serious? He said, I'm serious. This is your home. You would never have to want for nothing. And we went as far as to say, if we broke up, we would still have a bond. But we don't even think about that. And it's like, oh my God, I cannot wait till he come here, because I'm going to get him to do a show with you all, do a show with me about how we keep our love alive and how we go about doing things. Is it stressful being a long distance relationship? Yes, it is. My mother, she's sick, but guess what? I don't care how much I love him or how much he loved me. My first priority is my mother. Oh, well, the Bible says, cleave away from your mother that I love. I can't turn my back on my mother. My mother never turned her back on me. So I just want you all to be very careful with these strange loves out here. I just want you to be very careful. Watch yourselves. If that man is going to another woman, make sure that you are clean. Make sure that you are blameless. If that woman is going to another man, make sure that you're blameless. Love each other. I'm so, you all have no idea how excited I am about the Empowerment Network TV. I'm going to put a link on the description today to talk about it. I'm just so very excited, and I just want to say thank you all for listening in, even with Spreaker, for listening in. You guys are great. I'm going to be honest with you, great. But I will say this, if you do go into the TV network, there is a $4.95 charge. Support me. You believe in me, support me. I have a family. Although I'm here in America, I still have things to do over in Africa. I am married. So, on that note, I love you guys. Have a beautiful, fantastic Valentine's Day. Keep the fire burning. The same way that you got her in the beginning, you maintain it. The same way that you got him in the beginning, you maintain it. And trust me, when you do that, life will be beautiful. I'm your host, Dr. Nabs. Have a beautiful and wonderful day in Jesus.